Long ago, in the land of Egypt, the sun rose over wide rivers and golden fields. Animals bustled about, ducks waddled by the riverbanks, donkeys brayed in the fields, and little mice scurried quietly in the villages. One of those little mice was named Matthias. He was a curious mouse who liked to watch the world from his cozy hole in the wall. Matthias lived near a small house where a kind family worked hard each day. There was a mother named Jochebed, a father named Amram, and their two children, Miriam and Aaron. Matthias liked this family very much. He watched as they cooked meals together and sang songs about God's love. One day, something very serious happened. Matthias's tiny ears heard people in the streets whispering about the king, Pharaoh. Pharaoh was afraid of the Hebrew people because there were so many of them living in Egypt. They were strong and had many children. Pharaoh worried they might grow too powerful. So Pharaoh made a terrible law. All baby boys born to the Hebrews must be taken away, the people whispered. Matthias's whiskers drooped. Oh no, he thought. That's so unfair. God loves the babies. Inside the house, Jochebed held her new baby boy close. He was small and soft, and he made little squeaky sounds, almost like Matthias. He's such a beautiful baby, Jochebed whispered. Amram put his hand on her shoulder. We will keep him safe, he promised. Miriam peeked at her baby brother and smiled. His name is Moses, she said softly. Matthias's ears perked up. Moses, he repeated to himself. What a strong name for such a tiny baby. Every day, Jochebed and Amram worked carefully to keep baby Moses hidden. Matthias watched as they rocked him gently and sang quiet lullabies. They made sure Moses didn't cry loudly and wrapped him in soft blankets to keep him warm. At night, Matthias saw Jochebed kneeling by Moses' cradle, whispering prayers to God. Please, Lord, she prayed, keep our baby safe. You are mighty, and we trust you. Matthias twitched his nose and nodded. He could feel how much they loved little Moses, and he knew God was listening. The days passed slowly, and Moses grew. His tiny hands wiggled, and his little eyes opened wide to look around the room. Miriam often held his hand and sang him songs about God's promises. God saved our family before, she whispered to her brother. He will save us again. Matthias curled up in his hole each night, thinking about baby Moses. He knew God had a special plan for this little boy, and though Matthias didn't know what would happen next, he believed Moses was part of something very important. God was watching over baby Moses, and his love would never leave him. The end. The days in Egypt grew darker for the Hebrew families. Pharaoh's soldiers began going from house to house, searching for baby boys. The soldiers followed Pharaoh's terrible order, and the people were scared. Near the edge of the village, in a small house filled with love, Jochebed held her baby Moses close. His tiny hand curled around her fingers, and she kissed his soft cheek. We can't hide him much longer, she whispered sadly to Amram, her husband. Amram nodded. God will show us what to do. And God did. Watching from a quiet corner was Matthias the mouse. He had lived near Jochebed's family for a long time, and had grown quite fond of little Moses. He noticed how much care Jochebed took when she worked on something new, a basket made from reeds. She weaves it so tightly, Matthias thought, twitching his nose. It looks strong and safe. Jochebed coated the basket with sticky tar and pitch so it would float on the water and not sink. God, please protect my baby, she prayed as she worked. When the basket was ready, Jochebed carefully laid soft blankets inside. She picked up Moses and cuddled him one last time at home. His little brown eyes blinked up at her, and his fingers held tight to hers. "Shh, my sweet boy," she whispered. "God is with you." Matthias felt a tear roll down his cheek, even though he was just a little mouse. He understood how much they loved baby Moses. Early the next morning, Jochebed and her daughter Miriam walked quietly to the river. Matthias followed behind them, keeping hidden in the tall grass. The water was calm and smooth. Jochebed placed the little basket in the reeds at the edge of the river and gently set Moses inside. "Stay safe, little one," she whispered as she tucked the blankets around him. "God will take care of you." The basket floated gently among the tall green plants. Baby Moses yawned and fell asleep peacefully, rocked by the soft movement of the water. Miriam stayed nearby, hiding behind some bushes to watch over her baby brother. She didn't take her eyes off the basket. "I will make sure he's safe," Miriam whispered. Matthias scampered closer and sat beside her, watching too. "You're very brave," Matthias thought, as he peeked out from the grass. They waited quietly, listening to the birds sing and the water splash softly. Time passed slowly, but Miriam stayed patient. Matthias noticed how gently the river moved, as if God himself was cradling the little basket. As the sun rose higher in the sky, Miriam and Matthias continued their quiet watch, knowing that God was caring for baby Moses in a very special way. And though they didn't yet know what would happen next, they trusted that God had a wonderful plan. The end. The river glowed softly under the warm morning sun. Little Moses slept quietly in his basket, floating gently among the tall reeds. On the riverbank, Miriam stayed hidden behind the bushes, watching carefully. And nearby, Matthias the mouse peeked out from under a leaf. They had been waiting for a while, trusting God to protect Moses. Suddenly, they heard voices. Miriam's eyes grew wide. "Someone's coming," she whispered. Matthias twitched his nose and scurried closer. Down the path came a group of women in bright, flowing robes. They laughed and talked happily as they walked toward the water. Leading them was Pharaoh's daughter, a kind-looking woman with gentle eyes. She had come to the river to bathe with her servants. As she stepped near the water, Pharaoh's daughter noticed something unusual among the reeds. "What is that?" she asked, pointing. One of her servants waded into the water and brought the basket to her. Slowly, Pharaoh's daughter opened the lid. Inside was baby Moses. Moses blinked up at her and let out a tiny cry. Pharaoh's daughter gasped softly and smiled. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said, gently lifting him out of the basket. Her heart was filled with love as she cuddled him close. "Oh, little one," she whispered. "Don't cry. I will take care of you." From her hiding place, Miriam's heart began to race. She knew this was her chance to be brave. She took a deep breath and stepped out from behind the bush. "Shalom," Miriam greeted them politely. "Would you like me to find someone to help take care of the baby for you?" Pharaoh's daughter looked at Miriam with surprise. "That is a very kind idea," she said. Miriam smiled. "I know just the person." Matthias cheered silently as Miriam ran home to get her mother, Jochebed. In no time, Jochebed arrived at the river. Her heart leaped with joy when she saw her baby safe in Pharaoh's daughter's arms. "This is a Hebrew child," Pharaoh's daughter said kindly. "Take him and care for him for me. I will pay you to help raise him." Jochebed nodded, holding back happy tears. "I will take good care of him," she promised. So Jochebed took Moses home again for a time. She sang to him, told him stories about God, and loved him deeply. Matthias watched every moment, his tiny heart full of joy. Later, when Moses was a little older, Jochebed brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter at the palace. "I will name him Moses," Pharaoh's daughter said, "because I drew him out of the water." Moses grew up strong and wise in Pharaoh's house, but he always remembered his family and his God. Matthias watched him from afar, knowing deep in his heart that God had a very special plan for Moses' life. The end.